odd one handy thing about this quarter zip is that this mic is super easy to get on. Actually, now that's gas. I hadn't thought of that. In the last week or two, I feel like I have been struggling even a little bit in terms of energy or in terms of adhering to this deficit. And what I did do in order to just expedite this process, or to kind of just set myself a goal, is give it a time goal. People were asking me, what's the end goal here? As I was dropping weight, the end goal, I just put an arbitrary timeline on it. Well, working back from the competition I'm hoping to do in October, kind of working back from that and giving myself a nice time in a surplus, a nice time to train and build up to it, I kind of gave myself a 6-week window, of which there are 3 weeks left, and I was starting to struggle with a couple of realizations that these were things that I knew, but not things I had kind of owned or accepted. Because 6 weeks ago, I kind of hit, not 6 weeks ago, sorry, 3 weeks ago, I kind of hit around the 83 mark, which was kind of a goal in mind, right? For me, I was coming from the 93 kilo class down to 83, even though I wasn't quite 93, and I just thought I'd be leaner as an 83. And this is something that everyone who's experienced weight cuts, or every kind of coach, knows, especially for body composition point of view, is that you typically have a lot more fat to lose than you think, right? And by extension, for me, this showed me, or this means that not only do I have a lot more fat to lose than I think, but I have an awful lot less muscle than I think, which is fair enough. You can kind of put with that whatever way you want. I'm happy with the body composition changes that I've seen, and I would still regard myself as having almost a beginner level of musculature. That might be a bit of a toxic mindset to take, whatever, but in my mind, what this is allowing me to do is to reframe the focus then for the next couple of months, next couple of years even, to training with muscle growth in mind. And an idea that I typically have is that general trainees, or powerlifters in general, could do with a significant amount more muscle than we have. And as a natural athlete especially, this is something I always talk about, is that time is your greatest ally. And the ratio, let's say, of weeks or months bulking to cutting is far more intense than people generally think, and I find it quite tough, or I can envisage it being very tough, because cutting is hard, right? And the discipline you need is significant, but the discipline is rewarded by that kind of drop in the scales and the physique that you're revealing, essentially. But for a bulk, it's not quite so clear cut, especially as you're delving into further kind of higher body fat levels that you might not be used to or might not be comfortable with. So I'm anticipating that being much, much more difficult, even though it's weird to say I'm anticipating it, because struggling to bulk and gain weight is what I've experienced for my entire training career. But at least then, I'm really pushing my appetite, and I don't have a big appetite to begin with, as I'm pushing it and trying to get more and more calories in, and I'm going into higher body fat levels, especially giving up this kind of recent, somewhat lean physique that I've gotten over the last couple of weeks, that I've been really enjoying. I imagine that's going to be very, very tough, and I think this is why adopting these sort of process-based goals and outcomes is super important, because this muscle growth is going to be so slow. If you want to compare the rate of loss I've seen per week in a cut is around 1% a week, whereas it'll be around 1% gain per month. So the timeline is times 4 straight off the bat, So the process-oriented goals I'm going to try and look at is, especially as a powerlifter, this is going to be nice. Strength. I'm going to get much, much stronger. I'm going to grow slowly, but I'm going to grow. I'm going to get bigger. It's nice. So it's the weight on the scale, it's the weight on the bar, is all going to be nice metrics to kind of be pushing me forward. And I was between two minds on weight class in terms of competing for October. I want my DOTS score to be higher, but really I just want the total to be higher. If I was to pick ones to be higher, it's the total. It's the actual weight that I'm lifting. And before this cut, I figured, right, I'm going to cut down, then I'm going to build up big time. Take super, super slow, build up to the 105s, 100 kilos, just because I hadn't been there before. But since I've cut back and I've enjoyed this kind of leaner physique and realize that I don't have as much muscle as I thought I did, I'm thinking, okay, high end of 93s, even at that 1% a month, 1.5% per month, whatever, kind of averaging out, I'd say, to around a kilo a month. Like if I finish off around 80 kilos body weight, which is roughly what I'm going to be working with at the end of this cut, that's a year. You know, that's a year of a bulk that I'm committing to, never mind another 8 months then after that to go up to 100 kilos, never mind the body composition and how I'll feel physically and mentally then at that stage. So there's a lot of things to consider, but having that in front of me, especially competing and the idea of getting much, much stronger, is very appealing coming into the end of this cut. I've dropped my calories again as a result of, it was maybe a little bit reactionary, I'm going to be honest, but as a result of a bit of bloating kind of fucking up my weekly averages. I was going to say my weekly weigh-ins, but I'm weighing in every day to get that average for the week, to get an average rate of loss as well, just so it's a little bit more accurate. My one on Monday morning was fucked up because of a little bit of lenience Saturday and Sunday. I don't think I went over on calories, if not too much, but there was a little bit of lenience in the tracking and I was quite bloated, so my Monday morning weigh-in was inflated and it kind of messed with my numbers, which pissed me off. So I did, as a reactionary reaction, I dropped my calories an extra 100 calories, which isn't much, but they were at 2,000 and they're at 1,900 at the moment. With a bit of cardio, I'm not being super strict on that. It's kind of 3 to 4 days, 40 to 60 minutes, whatever I can do. So I'm at about 82 kilos at the moment, body weight. And my training is still going really well. I'm still really enjoying it. Energy is kind of fluctuating. It can be okay. The latest iteration of kind of meal prep that I have going at the moment is really good because they're satiating, they're tasty, they're new, they're different, and it affords me like 2 snacks, one mid-morning and one before training or even after training, whichever way I kind of fiddle around with it. So you saw there I had my cereal as my pre-training snack, nice and sugary and really satiating, really tasty, I should say. Satiating would be filling. It's not super filling, but yeah, a lot of things to look forward to. The end goal is in sight. I'm really going to try and stay strict with it, which is going to be tough because there's a competition in Belfast this weekend, and you know what it is about powerlifting competitions. You have a lot of people who restrict their diet and alcohol consumption for 6 to 8 to 10 weeks. They're going to want to party afterwards, and I've promised a lot of people that I will be out to party afterwards. So we'll see how it goes. But it's interesting, it's fun. It's very fun, which I think is the main thing. And there's a lot to be grateful for either end of the body composition spectrum. So I think just focusing on the positives is going to be nice, you know. But we'll see.